Evening. My name is Kurt Freskowski. Welcome to the meeting of the Finance Committee on Thursday, January 16th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Ayer Town Hall. This is a hybrid meeting. This meeting of the Finance Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting ID number 978-772-8220 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.mass.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100, prior to the meeting. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We have Andrew Seeley, Eric Seckman, Jin Hong, and joining us remotely is Bob France. So the first item on the agenda is the review and the approval of the December 5th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I found a slight omission. The recording of this meeting can be found at the following link.
No link. Saw that. Okay. Well, I think that's something unique to your minutes.
Yeah, I just put it there essentially because, I whether or not my minutes are perfectly complete or whatnot, this way I'm pointing someone towards the video where they don't even have to rely on the minutes. They can just watch.
It's also on the town website, which may be easier.
That's true. I could just say a link to the meeting can be found.
What I was thinking, instead of redrafting these whole minutes, what I was just going to do is a recording of this meeting can be found at YouTube. Can be found. I'll strike that and put it on the town website.
Yeah, we could strike it from this meeting minutes, and then in the future for this one, you can paste in the actual link.
Mm-hmm.
That might be the easiest thing to do.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. You're talking about just put the link.
That's what I usually do. I usually just copy it right from the address bar and stick it in the thing.
I think the town website's just easier than YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
The website doesn't change. The link
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
All right, so for the purpose of these minutes that I'm going to, a recording of this meeting can be found. I'm going to strike at YouTube at the following link and replace that with on the town website under Finance Committee.
Yeah, sounds good.
Do that for this one. Do you want to post the actual link going forward? Found one typo. I feel like you leave them in there so people find the Easter eggs. In the first one,
exactly.
under agenda item, there's a November 21, 2024, and then the second one, there's an extra comma.
That's in the wrong spot.
Yeah. That was all I could find.
So where was this in the? Oh, so that's 21. Okay, so that's November 21st.
Not 2/1/2024.
little grammatical things. Then in the review, I think you meant to say next meeting will be on December 10th. You said that meeting.
No.
Well, I mean, I guess
Thank you.
don't have to be too picky.
Okay. All right, and actually, what I think I've got this in Word at home, so I may just go and actually type some, if they're minor changes, I've just usually made note of them and then submit this to the town clerk. I may actually print this out again. Because what I actually do then is tomorrow, put my approved, today's date, my signature, and give it to the town clerk to post. Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Bob, Francis, aye. Okay, minutes approved. Okay. I'm going on the outside meeting updates. Bob, I'm just going to touch on rate review first because there has been no meeting. The next one is January 21st?
Correct.
Okay, so the next rate review committee meeting is January 21st. Okay. All right. The next item is the capital planning committee update. And I printed out, and you have, and there's, was posted to the website, a list of all the capital items that the capital planning committee approved at the last capital planning committee meeting. So there's a list of all those items here. So if you want to take a look at that, if any questions?
I don't have any specific questions, but now that the Army Corps gave us that PFAS plant, and we have media replacement, how often do we need to replace that media? It's a separate question.
Oh, I believe, okay, so 2 points is one that the Army doesn't take care of it anymore,
Yeah.
which you noted, yeah.
It's our problem.
Yes, exactly. I believe, I don't know, we'll have to ask,
I'll note that down for when we talk to Dan. But
right,
we're
or
looking
Kimberly,
at
yeah, Kimberly
800
would,
and almost $1 million.
yes, yeah, that is
As a future note.
mhm. Yeah, and that would be actually, Kimberly would be the expert on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other than that, I had no other.
How,
No
do we
questions.
know, on a similar sort of question, how long, like, the scuba gear for the fire department, like what the lifespan of that is, or how many units they're getting?
So when you say scuba gear,
The self-contained breathing apparatus?
I made the same mistake. It's actually, that's what, when they go into the fires,
Yes.
right, that's what they wear on their
Yeah,
back.
Yes,
It's
but-
still SCBA.
It's still.
It doesn't have the U for the
Doesn't have
underwater.
U for underwater. Those, I think, as I
Where's that
remember,
listed here?
under.
Under the general fund.
General fund,
Oh,
In the fire department.
Because that's a lot.
yeah, these are
I
the,
see.
the ones that they're using are, I think, from 2013 and 15. So they've got a long life expectancy. If using that as a gauge would be some 10 years. So these are the newest units, so that they are up to date with all the latest code updates also for these here. But these, I think, and again, don't quote me, I can double check, and it might actually be in the minutes. I'm going to say 10 years.
So do these replace just the ones from 2013 or all of them? Like in another year or two, are we gonna get another $400,000 capital request for some more gear?
I'm going to look to someone with better memory. Do you
Mr. Chair,
happen?
members of the committee, Happy New Year. So on that replacement, first of all, the estimated life expectancy is 10 years. What the fire department has proposed is they date from 13, and there are a few from 15. The plan was to just do them all now instead of to come back on those two. So that equips every firefighter with 2 oxygen tanks in the mask and so forth. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they're up, they meet all the, of course, the code governing those, these are all up to date, and apparently these are easier to fill and also less heavy for the firefighters to carry. But, yeah, I did the same thing with the assistant chief. I said, so, do we use these for the pond rescues?
I actually have 2 more things.
Mhm.
Now that I think about it. The library roof replacement. Eric had brought up that the trustees have their own pot of money, and have they tapped into that or not in the last meeting? And I don't recall whether or not there was an answer to that in our.
They have 2 requests. They have their elevator too.
Yeah, we had brought it up previously, and I don't think we officially brought an answer to this forum. So, hi, Robert.
Hello. So on the library roof, and the question that was brought up from the FinCom was about the library looking at some of their other funds for the roof. The bad news is they did do that, and there was nothing for the roof. However, the good news is the library director just met with the capital planning committee. Not capital, excuse me, community preservation committee. And it looks like they're going to go through the process that about $200,000 could come from CPC funds for the roof. So as the committee knows, these recommendations that were approved by the capital planning committee, in some of the projects, if a grant or other funding source comes up, we obviously won't borrow for that. So there will be an application pending with the CPC. It looks favorable for the roof at $200,000.
Thank you.
Don't run off. I have one more.
Okay.
The Sandy Pond Beach House.
Yes.
That was, if I recall, we did the study.
Yep.
The study was of the 3 options, to start over, which I think anyone could have told you was the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
120,000 is just for the design, if I remember.
Yes.
It's not for the whole thing.
Correct. It's just for the design and all the engineering design, and then they would come back through capital for the funding to construct it.
Okay. Just making sure my memory's.
No, your memory's good. Yeah.
These are good questions. So there is still one outstanding item for the capital planning committee is the senior center. And they are going to start addressing that at their next capital planning committee meeting, which is, I should know that since I am sitting on the capital planning committee meeting.
Happens to us all.
Pardon?
Happens to us all.
Yeah.
Dates are hard.
Wednesday at 5.
Next week. Yeah, okay, so the 22nd. So yeah, so they'll, are going to have a new presentation from the senior center, I believe.
Yes,
Okay.
so just so the chair is absolutely correct. The senior center was also submitted as a capital project. There's going to be another meeting on Wednesday at 5. At that meeting, there'll be an update as to where they are in the process, and we're going to start a discussion on a financing plan for this. Mr. Chair, I'm going to recommend, in addition to the capital, we'll be coming back to the FinCom with that to discuss. There's still a lot of work to be done. The other piece is, at this point, they're not ready for any special town meeting or town meeting this spring. So I know many of you are aware there was all this talk. There's going to be the need for more time. So I think the takeaway is, if you could check out the capital meeting, And all the capital stuff for these requests too, by the way, is on the capital webpage. There's more to come and a lot more discussion on the financing of it, which you will all play a key role in.
Thank you, Robert. Okay. Any other questions or notes on the capital planning items? Okay, going to the next item, and actually some of the things we've just discussed sort of touches on this is the idea of the buy board committee. I'm going to have Robert give us some information on that in a moment. And he'll have a little bit more history, but the idea of the buy board is to have communication among all of these finance groups, us, capital planning, rate review, select board, to make sure everybody was on the same page. So what I'm just seeing here, again, Robert, you'll get more details on this, is that by virtue of us already being on the committees, maybe that communication is there, but select board also has to make recommendations on that. So I will ask Robert for more information.
Yeah, so just real quick, and I believe I brought this up just conceptually at your last meeting. So what we want to have a discussion with this is going to be on the select board's agenda on Tuesday when they meet for further discussion. So just so everybody, the executive buy board consists of the chair and the vice chair of the FinCom, a member of the select board, the town manager, the town accountant, and the finance manager. And its genesis came really when we were looking at regionalization for schools. And as the chair mentioned correctly, it was an opportunity for further communication. The buy board has no authority except it's just advisory in nature. What the thought was, the other piece is there was a period of time before this current FinCom was constituted. We didn't really have a FinCom. So the buy board, we just didn't have the members. There wasn't a quorum. So the buy board was at least an opportunity to discuss those issues. The thought is we keep the buy board on the books. We're not looking to get rid of it. But the question is, through the FY26 budget process that we're in, the thought is between the FinCom and the select board, and mostly the FinCom, a lot of the issues that we would be discussing could be discussed here at the FinCom, not that they aren't. And where either myself or Barbara, somebody is generally here, departments to the FinCom meetings, we're just trying to look at an efficiency of meetings. Now, we did the financial policies last year. That was a good project for the buy board to work on. That's why we say we don't get rid of it. So I'm just proposing, it's up to the FinCom and the select board. An extra meeting for me is not an issue, but the thought would be that now that we have a full finance committee and then the select board, is that and communication is really good, I think, between the departments, the FinCom, and the board, that we maybe take a pause on the buy board. But if folks feel that it's of value and we want to continue to meet, we can do that as well. So it's just an idea. I'm going to broach it with the select board on Tuesday, and then maybe when after that meeting, we'll have further direction.
Is that something that would be appropriate to discuss at the February 4th meeting, or would that be outside of that?
Mr. Chair, to Eric, that's actually a really good idea. So not to get ahead, but on February 4th, we're scheduled for a joint meeting of the select board and the FinCom at 6 for the school budget. The superintendent and the school committee from ASRSD will come down. We could, after the school piece, because we'd have everybody at the meeting, could discuss it briefly and get a consensus as to what we want to do on the buy board. That's a good idea.
Okay.
So I'll add that to that agenda.
Jen, you have some thoughts?
Sounds good. I I think that's an efficient way to do things, yeah.
So, as I'm, so the idea then would be, is if any items that the buy board would look at, we
Mhm.
would sort of, we would add, be something that FinCom would look at as we go through the budget process.
Yeah, and maybe this would be helpful for everybody. So what are those things generally? So obviously, you're going to get draft one of the budget tomorrow. So obviously, you're going to do your review and work on the budget. So buy board talked a lot about those same themes. The other thing is on the recommended uses for free cash, for example. So we have 3.2 million in free cash. The buy board used to meet to just make advisory recommendations to look at, how much do we put in capital stabilization? How much do we put in stabilization? What do we use it for? That really that can be done it should be done at FinCom. So that could be done at FinCom. So the final review of capital, which you've already sort of started to talk about tonight, the recommended uses of free cash, any other financial articles besides the budget, we would talk at buy board. So we'd really be using your meeting, this forum, to do those issues. And I think it would reach more people, and is the appropriate place for it. That's just from my perspective. So it's not a lot that you aren't already doing, but it's just some of those issues. And then if there's a specific financial project, like every 2 years we review the financial policies, then that would make sense for the buy board to maybe do some of the legwork on that. Or if there's another, major issue, we could convene the buy board. So we're not getting rid of it. We're going to use the FinCom and FY26 for those functions, is the proposal. And I like Eric's idea. We're all going to be together on the 4th. I think we could come to a decision then.
Okay. Okay, all right, so you'll pencil us in as an item on 2/4 meeting. So, Robert, if you could stay with us for the next few moments. So so to finish that thought, so you'll broach it with the select board next week. The 2/4 meeting, joint meeting, we can touch on it one more time.
Yep.
And then,
After the schools, and it'll be brief. Yep.
The item on free cash, when do we need to make a decision? Because the FinCom is going to make the recommendation on that, as I remember, correct?
Yeah, so we have time, and I'll get to the budget calendar is up. So we generally make those recommendations and decisions in March.
Okay.
And I can get I'll get the schedule, so generally in March.
Very good. Okay. Any other discussion on the buy board then, for our group? Bob?
Nope.
Okay. I am going to make a suggestion, if it's all right with the group. If we can, with the next 2 items on the agenda is the financial report for 2024, and then the budget process for the FY 2026. I'm going to suggest that we can go to the budget process right now, because a lot of what we're talking about sort of feeds into that, and then we will discuss the financial reports of December 2024. Is that acceptable? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to make an amendment to the agenda for that, because we're going to be covering it. So.
Yep.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've got your memo here, Robert. Before we get to that, I'm just going to make some notes for our committee. So then our next meeting is going to be Thursday, February 1st, and then Thursday, February 15th, our regular scheduled. And then as we get into this memo from Robert, we will have a joint meeting on February 4th with the select board. Okay. Okay, so then if we can take a look at the memo here on the 2026 budget. Actually, so Robert, if you would want to maybe walk us through that?
Sure. And just for everyone's benefit, the budget calendar is on the town website, and as of tomorrow, we'll activate the FY26 budget page, which will begin to populate with all things related budget. So tomorrow, January 17th, we will be sending draft 1 of the omnibus budget to the FinCom, to the select board. It will be in the select board meeting packet for the public and for all department heads. So we're just finishing up a couple of items on that. Off of my memo, just a couple other key dates. On January 21st, so the select board meeting, the select board is also going to officially open the spring town meeting, the annual town meeting warrant will officially open on Tuesday. And in the board packet, and I'll send and at the meeting, I'm just going to give a very brief overview of draft 1 of the budget, and I'd be happy to come back to FinCom meeting to talk about draft 1, specifically some of the budget drivers. On January 31st, and I sent to the FinCom, you're all invited, the Neshoba Valley Technical High School does their annual budget breakfast at the school. I think Eric has been, Kurt has been. You're all invited if you can come. The significance of that is that's where they release their budget and their assessments to the town. So I will send this to the FinCom and the Select Board that once we get it that day. So folks that can't make the breakfast, so we'll begin to at least have a piece of that puzzle. So that's on January 31st. And you do have the email if you'd like to go to RSVP. It is a nice event. Then, as the chair mentioned in my memo that you have, on February 4th, Tuesday, right at 6, is a joint meeting of the Select Board and the FinCom, where Dr. Renda and the ASRSD School Committee will present the school budget to the FinCom and the Select Board, including their proposed assessment. And as Eric mentioned tonight, after we do that, we'll put an item just to briefly talk about the future on the buy board. And then I believe on the budget calendar in February, and I'll get you the date, it's out there, I can't remember, is sort of around the time that draft 2 of the budget comes out. And after draft 2, unlike in previous years, we used to do a public budget forum in January, but we didn't have a lot of the detail, and it seemed to be somewhat counterproductive. We're looking to do the budget forum, do one in probably the beginning of March, end of February, so we have the budget is in its most final form at that point. I see FY26 budget is already up at the top. If you go see.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't, so maybe if you. Okay, so there's a capital request, so all budget calendar you can see at the top right there. So, and we're in, hard to believe we're already in January. Yep, so the 6th, so there is January 17th, budget to the Select Board FinCom, and then the 21st I just mentioned. We're on target, as you can see in February, for February 14th. We're on target to have all of the union and non-union contracts concluded. So as you'll see in draft 1 of the budget, most of those are not in the budget yet, and that's noted. But so by February 14th at the latest, we'll have the budget fairly defined. We'll also have the school assessment from the 2, I know this says March, because technically they have till March 7th, but both are ahead of the game. So we'll have that sooner. And then we're looking to do thank you for putting this up, Eric, March 12th at 6 would be the public budget presentation. That'd be FinCom, Select Board. We talk about the budget, for the public. The target for the water and sewer rates are March 18th. That's with the Select Board public hearing. And the warrant and everything closes by Friday, March 29th at noon. So to answer the chair's earlier question, everything has to be done by March 29th, hence like the free cash recommendations in March and so forth. And then town meeting, we get to April, I believe the Select Board will approve the warrant on April 1st. So ideally, the FinCom will have met, hopefully ahead of time, to make their recommendations for the warrant. And then town meeting, it's just around the corner, is Monday, April 28th. And then the town election is on the 13th. So we're in the thick of it. And Mr. Chair and the committee, I told all of the departments, I think between the chair and I, as far as coordinating, all of the departments know whoever that the FinCom would like to meet with, we can schedule. So they're all on deck.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you, Robert.
Yep, thank you.
I was just knowing there might be some dates in that are not,
Yeah.
if you go up into February,
Yep.
Wednesday, February 14th.
Oh, is it could be a typo. Valentine's
I was
Day.
gonna say, everyone's busy that day.
Yeah, we had a meeting last year.
Well, no, it's the 12th. It's Wednesday, February 12th.
Okay, so that should be Friday. All right, we'll fix that.
Yeah.
So it should be Friday the 14th.
Okay, we're going that way. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yep. We'll correct that for the public. Mhm.
Okay. So,
Someone already got his Valentine's Day dinner booked or something to know that the wind wasn't on a Wednesday?
no, I was looking on because I already said a few moments ago, I said our first meeting is Thursday, February 1st, and I just was like, I was looking at a totally
okay.
wrong calendar, so I was like, I'm leading the charge here on missed dates. Okay, so having looked at this, and so our next meeting then will be Thursday, February 6th, and then the next one would be Thursday, February 20th, and then March repeats, March 6th and March 20th.
So if we look then at, when does the approve? So
Before
Thursday
the
the
1st.
1st, so we will have.
The last meeting in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if we want to listen to the departments, the February and March, the 4 major departments, and then probably the 2 field.
So, and what I'm noting here is that leading off will be on Tuesday, the February 4th, is the school board. So we've already, that sort of started the ball rolling. This is really good because last few years they've had to come and do a presentation to both of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so really then, Jim, following up on your item, so then our first presentation will be from the school board on.
Yeah, that's outside our regular schedule. This is a joint meeting.
Right, yeah, but again.
We have 2 meetings in February, 2 meetings in March.
Right.
And then so if we want to have the 4 biggest departments in town to each come to give a presentation,
Okay.
that will fit in perfectly.
Okay, so do you have any idea, do we want to start maybe penciling in and having Robert contacting them?
Do we want to? In the past, we have had the police department, the fire department, DPW, and then the town general administration, each
Right.
give a presentation. I don't
Okay.
know, we want to do that?
I mean, that-
Perhaps a suggestion, and just a
Yeah.
suggestion. So when you're going to get wish it was done for tonight, but you're gonna get, per the schedule, you're gonna get the draft one of the budget tomorrow. And what you'll see, and it's up, however, the FinCom, and I told this to all departments, no matter how big or how small, are, subject to review by the FinCom, so don't misinterpret what I'm saying. But maybe one guidepost when everybody gets it is you'll see on the budget, what are the major drivers, the departments. So one of them is the fire department, significantly. If you recall, the SAFER grant ends this year. Remember, we had the grant for the 4 firefighters. So there's almost a 16% increase in the fire department budget, but 240,000 of that is the SAFER grant because it's over. The closure of the hospital, and the chief could explain, we are being proactive with overtime. So I'm just saying, the fire is all clearly justified and tied in, but I think fire, which is one of your big 4 anyway,
Yeah.
would be a good one to start with. The other thing that Barbara and I would like to come to at some point to talk about, where you'll see in the budget, our pension assessment is what we pay to the Middlesex County Retirement for our employees. There's been a significant increase in that, and that's with us forward funding the pension. If you recall, from free cash, we use 300,000. And we'd like to discuss with the FinCom and the public to explain what's driving that. One of the things is we've had 7, so they do an assessment every 2 years. So this last assessment had 7 new positions in it, the 4 firefighters and 3 others, plus based on salary. It's manageable, but it's a budget driver I think we should talk about. So that would be sort of Barbara and I at some point. You'll see that the police budget and the DPW budget, very modest increases, not spikes, not level funded, but slight increases there. The IT department is coming way down. If you recall, remember last year we ramped it up because we were in the transition. The social worker is currently vacant, and we're reevaluating that. Budget is
That's
still.
the school, or separate,
We created a full-time social worker position a couple of years ago.
in the town department,
In for the
separate from the school.
Yeah, separate from the schools. So maybe after you get draft 1, you'll see, and we've tried to code where there's significant, increases and so forth. Might help guide who you want to meet with, if you want to meet with everybody. But definitely, I think fire is always a good one to start with.
Yeah, fire department will have a lot of changes, yeah.
So just a thought. And another thing, I know that the chair has asked, at the appropriate time too, Barbara would like to come and talk a little bit about the debt schedule and borrowing as it pertains to not only the capital, but as it pertains to the senior center project and stuff moving forward.
Okay. All right, so if we can take a few moments, I'm just sort of maybe we can just go ahead and start filling in the calendar here then. Okay, so would we want to, okay, and so fire, police, DPW, and then administration. And then also you want to do your presentation to us, Robert, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That could be administration, I guess.
Well, that's what I was, okay, so let me just throw this out. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So would we want, so our meetings, our regular scheduled meetings are, again, 2/4 will be the school board, 2/6, 2/20, 3/6, 3/20. So go right in on the February 6th meeting with the fire department?
Just a suggestion. What about on 2/6, Barbara and I come and we do a brief overview of draft 1.
Oh, that's
Right.
a good point.
We'll do a brief overview of draft 1 and the budget drivers and the pension assessment. So we'll do all of that. It'll be sort of a good kickoff for your review, if that makes sense.
Okay, no,
So
okay.
we'd call, February 6th would be what we'd call draft 1 review and discussion, and the budget drivers, of which the pension assessment's one of them.
would you want to do your presentation on the administration cost at the same time, or is that gonna get muddied?
Or have Barbara give her thing at the same time?
Or, okay,
Oh,
or,
yeah,
yeah.
debt
Is that gonna be too long?
I don't, do you think Barbara would have that debt thing done at that point? Because,
No, I think that would be that's more of like a future topic.
Okay.
Is everything on this,
Post-April, is that what you're saying?
this going to be like borrowed? These are all like, I remember Barbara
Mm-hmm.
talking about like combining all the needs together and then
Mhm.
go to the debt market. So this will all be, the town will tabulate how much it needs and then issue bonds altogether, is that right? So all
So-
these items here will be,
So if you look on the sheet, Mr. Chair, just through you real quick.
yes,
So if you look on, see where it says capital stabilization, almost towards the bottom where it says library elevate. So anything under $50,000,
Oh, you
we
cannot
pay
borrow.
right from capital. So right above it, under general fund, so she's looking to borrow 1.6 million.
well, okay. But the separate, like the enterprise water and the
Mhm.
stormwater fund, so those are going to be funded by those
Enterprise.
particular- Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So she's not borrowing 7.7 million. It's just okay. It's
Correct.
just a general fund part. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
That's better.
Yep.
okay. All right, well then, so then February 6th will be the draft one on the budget drivers, and pension.
Yep.
Does that sound good to the group? Okay. And then the 20th, we'll go ahead with the fire department then. And that leaves it, and then March 6th would be DPW. And then, so we've got DPW, police, and administration.
Well, maybe we just have the administration combined with Robert's first presentation. I don't know if we can do it.
What,
Yeah, we can see where we're at. We could probably cover that.
oh, okay, so that would be the administration arms budget.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be,
Draft overview and the administrative part. So
administration, okay.
then we'll only have 3 meetings
Okay.
left and we
Right.
can only cover 3 departments.
Okay, so then DPW would be the 6th, and then March 20th,
Yeah.
DPW would be March 6th, and then March 20th would be police.
Sounds good.
Okay, all right. So Robert, what I'll do is I will summarize.
Sure, and I'm taking notes too, so we get a good,
And I will send an
get a good
email,
plan. Yep.
in the next day or two summarizing this, and then, so we'll have that, and then you'll have it noted, Eric, in the minutes, and, okay. Is good. Boy, we've got our homework ahead of us.
So look at the budget tomorrow.
Okay,
Mhm.
yes.
Just in time for the weekend.
Favorite activity.
We're supposed to get snow on Sunday, right? So it'll be a nice.
Perfect snow day
Nice cup of
activity.
hot cocoa.
Friday night with a glass of wine and a budget.
Especially since there's no football to watch anymore. So. Is there any playoff games
Yeah.
this week?
There are.
Well, I was joking because the
Oh,
Patriots aren't.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So the next item is, we have a copy of the financial report as of December 2024. Did anyone have any notes or questions on that? Robert, if you could stay with us.
Sure. I will flag one just to bring the attention to the FinCom, and I talked with Carrie earlier. All of the accounts right now are looking to be on target, which is good. The town council account, the 75,000, that's 01151, it's about in the middle of the front page, is running, and keep in mind, this doesn't have, I don't think it captured the December town council bill, but the town council line is running a little higher than norm. It's at about 60, almost 60% spent. There's been some unforeseen legal matters. I think we're still okay. If we move into reserve fund transfer territory like we did last year for a small one on this, that could be a possibility. We'll keep you updated. But nothing to, we've resolved these issues. So just town council running a little on the high side due to some unforeseen legal matters. Everything else in
Retirement and pension, something, this is 2.2 million, that's already, I guess, all spent. So
Yes.
What does that mean? Just mean that you have funded the retirement and pension?
Right, so last year we have, what was appropriated, we've paid the whole assessment. So, yep,
So there's no more to pay, right?
correct. I'm trying to see, and then I also checked with Barbara. The good news is collections, as far as revenue, everything remains on target, which is always good as well. I always want to be concerned if there's any shortfall in revenues or what have you, but all revenues and collections are on target. All accounts are within target. Just a little note on that town council one had a little bit of a blip on it.
And I wanted to, at the back of this report is the balances of stabilization funds, and I just wanted to note on that, since as we looked at the capital planning items, we are going to be pulling 215 from capital stabilization, and
That's on page 3 of the back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the current balance, if you go, it's towards the back of this report, the current balance of the capital stabilization fund is $5,987,372. So 250, from there would be pulled that 215 for the capital stabilization items on that capital stabilization report.
We normally fund from free cash, right?
Pardon?
We normally fund from free cash.
Yes, and the certified free cash is, for this year, which we'll talk about, is 3.2 million in change. So you're absolutely right. Historically, we've put a portion of that in both of the stabilizations. Yep.
Cool, 3 million to capital stabilization.
Yep.
So I have an, on that note, Andrew, that's one of the items we'll have to, I will add to the agenda for the March 6th or March 20th meetings that's.
I was gonna say March 6th would be good. I mean, DPW, he does a great job, and as you'll see in tomorrow's budget, no surprises in DPW. And then we could talk about the use, get the discussion started on the use of free cash.
So you said that the salaries for the fire and, I'm not sure if there's other departments as well, fire and police won't be in there because the union negotiations are still ongoing.
Right, the cost of the contracts, they're almost done. So in draft 1, it'll say will not include the contract costs. As they're negotiated, we'll put them in there and transmit those numbers
Aren't
to you.
those potentially a significant driver of increase?
Well, we're doing a pretty good job in keeping those in.
I have no idea. I'm just
Yeah.
like, 'cause
Yeah.
it's just in the news the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
I
right?
mean,
Contracts.
they definitely impact the budget, but not, no budget busters. However, one of the things, when we're almost done the fire, so the last time we did the fire contract, we were 4 less employees. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I think when you guys meet with the fire, we'll have a good discussion about fire. But we will, as the contracts get settled And with those cost impacts, they'll be put into the draft of the budget, and we'll transmit to the FinCom what those are.
So we don't negotiate this contract every year, right? So once every few years, right?
Correct. They're on 3-year cycles. This year, the fire, the DPW, and the police sergeants happen to be up. It's the biggest year. And then there's a bunch of personal service contracts that are up, including mine, but it won't break the bank, I promise. So, and I'll get that to you as well. But those all will be done by February 14th at the latest.
So do you just like change spots around the table when you negotiate with yourself?
No, it's with the select board. Yeah, yeah. That's gotta, yeah. So, so we're in good shape, and I think it's good that the FinCom is getting this and reviewing it, and Kerry watches it like a hawk, and the minute something looks like it could be in RFT territory, she's down the hall, as they say.
I'm more interested to see what's going to happen, mainly with fire from the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that's causing Chief Johnson some headaches.
Yes, and it's the unknown nature of it too, because we're living it in real time. I just also want to bring up, I think it's important to note, the Ayer Shirley Regional School budget and the Neshoba Valley Technical High School budget. On the Ayer Shirley Regional School budget this year, the teachers are in negotiations now on their contract, and the governor's budget, which comes out on January 20th, and we're cautiously waiting to see what that has to say as far as ed funding and so forth. So I think we'll have a good discussion on the 4th.
Speaking of schools, Neshoba Valley Technical High School, do we want to have them do a presentation to us?
Well, if we go to their breakfast, it's supposed we go to their presentations, then they come to us. I feel like. I mean, I think they will kind of eventually come to us, but
I think in the past we did have.
They had come, yeah. But
We had Air Shirley come. I don't think we had.
I think we have had the
Neshoba Valley
Yeah.
come too.
too, but I guess we don't really have that many time slots. So where would you fit them if they
Yeah.
come?
What you could do, now that just on the 31st, if everybody's going to get the assessment in their budget, and you could take a look at it and then decide if you want to meet with them. Because Dr. Pigeon will do a brief presentation at town meeting, but let's see, I don't know what the assessment in the budget looks like. Is it level funded? As you know, if we lose students going there, it can go down. So maybe we assess it on the 31st. Just a suggestion.
And we could, I'm looking at the calendar, we could, if need be, add them to the March 20th meeting, which will be just the police presentation, which is usually sort of short. We could.
That's true.
Add her to
The thing is that between the you want that or the regional high school, because if you want the school piece, there, like we have these two schools.
But the regional high schools is the combined meeting.
Yeah, so yeah, 2-4 is.
Oh, that's right.
is the
We
high
already
school.
have
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so
you're-
yeah, February 4th, we have the joint meeting with.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay.
So yeah, this
That's right.
has been a nice thing this year, having that joint meeting and so early in the
So we
process.
essentially have 5 meetings between February and March. Not
Yes. Yeah, and I will note that in the email tomorrow, summarizing all this, so at least we can have sort of a quick snapshot going forward. Okay, anything else? So, which then leads us to the next item on the agenda, which is schedule next meeting, which is going to.
Check. Yep.
I've already
You know,
got it checked.
when I look at this list, it's a little, if you think about the annual road paving,
Yeah.
and that's an item that the general fund, So are we actually borrowing money for annual road paving? That sounds
So,
pretty. I guess
And-
it is in the,
and keep in mind, that is to supplement the Chapter 90 money we also get from the state.
I see, I see.
Um,
So this is not all the money for road paving,
correct.
okay.
Just, would it be okay for me maybe to send a email to Kimberly and ask her about the, how often the,
Seems like an easy answer.
Yeah,
PFAS filters?
she'll know it's a good question, but I don't know the answer. She'll know the answer. Yeah.
Okay, why don't I just do that then? Well, if I'm gonna be doing emails tomorrow, I will just do a second one and I will copy everyone to Kimberly. Finance Committee was wondering, how often the PFAS media,
There's two.
right, for each pond,
Mm-hmm.
are replaced. I will copy everyone on that.
And then just, Mr. Chair, on this capital list, if you go to the general fund, where you see library roof repairs, 258,550, which is recommended. If the CPC comes through, then that would be reduced by 200,000. And I also want to point out, see where it says dual band portable radios, it's also under the general fund, fire department for 103,000. That's to replace the radios. We are applying for a state 911 grant in this month, and we'll know by March, and we're cautiously optimistic. If the grant covers that, then obviously we can reduce that.
And on sort of on that same topic, just, I understood, I think I saw something that Jamie Eldridge was working on a grant for the fire department to help with the ambulances.
Yeah, a letter was sent from the chiefs looking for state funding, so that.
Oh,
that-
okay, it's just been a request.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. So that process has started. Okay,
Yep.
but we don't have any,
Right.
it's not definite yet. Okay. All right. I'd like to open our meeting to the public for any questions or comments. Do you see any?
Some way to say who's
We
on.
don't, the only person we have on is Bob.
Oh,
It says there's three.
there's,
So Max must be on in the town account.
There's gotta be is there a view, hit the view button.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's just us, okay.
oh, okay. All right, well, very
got
duly
it. He said if like someone like else popped in, it would tell me here.
Yeah, usually it'll tell you, yep.
Technology.
Okay, I think we've covered everything on the agenda then.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn, Kurt.
I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bob? Aye. So the meeting is adjourned as of 6:59 PM.